enough.
He's also got the Timber still, John. I mean, I know it doesn't offer much control, but that's a Masteros Timber we're talking about. We know he'll take the hero every chance he can get. I'm quite shocked GXR haven't gotten rid of it yet, quite frankly. I thought maybe they would have just gotten rid of it immediately, but it's still there. It doesn't do the most amazing work against the Riki, but again, it is a Masteros Timber.
Ooh.
Well, there's a Darkseer coming out now for GXR, so a bit of a cheeky combination here with the Riki. Can play a few games with the Iron Shell, but Motivate.Trust, not to be dissuaded, they do go straight into the Jug.
And that's an interesting way to counteract that Darkseer lane. You know you're going to be spammed with Iron Shell. You could at least spin through some of that damage, at least hold your lane, clear out the wave, still build up some farm there. The Jug is a very stable core to have in this lineup for Motivate.Trust. It's not the most amazing. It has issues with spell usage. As we know with the Omni Slash, you're going to need the Ags to give you more uptime and aggression. So we're going to have to see that come out from Jackie at some point. I do like how Galaxy Racer are going with it. Like, Darkseer is just very annoying to deal with in lane. You can constantly keep that off lane shoved in, make it hard for the safe laner to farm. You're pretty potent with a Snapfire. You could kind of just try to cookie stun, have a couple of Iron Shells on you and the Snap, and just melt the support in that case and just build off there. The team fight potential is building up as well. Back wall with Kisses, with the tricks of trade, as you mentioned, can be really scary. This could be a really good Riki game to actually go for that Battle Fury build that sort of has tapered off. We've been seeing a return to, say, Diffusal. Might just want to go for the Battle Fury here just because you have a lot of really good AoE combos to pull off.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they could do that. We'll see if that's going to be the case. GXR, they've got one ban left, but for now we're going to have to wait for Motivate to make their own ban. It looks like GXR, they do get rid of the Sand King, so perhaps just agreeing with you that Motivate is lacking some team fight right now. And I would tend to agree that the team fight really isn't there yet for MGT, or MTG, excuse me, but final ban out before we get to see the drafts completed, at least for MTG. And I still bring up the Timber Sword, John. I know it doesn't add the team fight, but I don't think it's a great idea to leave the Timber for Masteros.
He's really potent on it, but I don't think they lack damage. I don't think they lack that big frontliner to really tank for them. They need a frontliner that can initiate for them more than anything else. Or if not initiate, then just control, right? Like, that's the big issue. If your Storm zips into 5, he can Vortex 1. He's got a lot of issues with everyone else, and that's what I want to see Motivate.Trust to kind of prioritize. They do take out the Timb anyway. Galaxy Racer, they know what Masteros can do with that hero, so they just take care. They do go with a Bristleback, which is interesting as well. This is one way to counteract a Riki, right? Tricks of the Trade hits your back. You don't care about that damage coming through for the Bristle. It's still really potent, even on the offlane. Once you hit your Ags timing, it's still pretty busted. Despite the balancing patch coming through, Bristle still feels really hard to play against if you don't have the natural break.
I don't know.
It's still really strong.
I don't know what Ice Frog was thinking. That was not a nerf. That's not a real nerf, John. I mean, it really is still just so spammable once you have the Aghanim Scepter up. There's a Razor coming out, so GXR are going to be very annoying now with that Razor. I think it's a very good pick here for GXR because it does allow you to just kind of static link the junk throughout the team fights, and that way Jackie can't really get the damage output out. Of course, in the mid lane, if you get in your dream on that Razor against the Fearless Storm, prior to that level 6 mark, it's going to be a hellish lane for Fearless. There's not really much you can do about the Razor. So I think it was a very nice way to finish off the draft here for GXR. And quite frankly, John, I don't know who came out with the better draft, so I'm going to ask you the hard questions, Mr. Anime Man. Who did come out with the better draft?
It's a bit back and forth. I know you mentioned in your dream lane against Fearless. They could still flex, but Alacrity has still been playing mid for Galaxy Racer. So that could just be safe lane Razor up against a Bristle, which is still really nice. It's a melee hero against Razor. You zap away, get a lot of free damage in lane. You're probably not going to be able to eat through the Bristle once he hits his level 4 spike is the big one. Level 3 is like so-and-so. Not the tankiest, not the burstiest yet. But you should really maximize that early presence there for IYD. If it is a mid Riki for Alacrity, if he is going mid still, I'm keen to see what he does against Fearless, because we have seen mid Rikis really put the damper on a lot of matchups. Like against the Invoker, it's really darn good. Against a Storm, if you play aggressive with your Blink Strikes and just space yourself away from the Remnants, it could be really tough. Like if you get harassed out here for Fearless, he's not going to have the best of times. And we have seen mid-Rickies, right, rush 2 Wraith Bands and Power Treads and just run around, really make space, really be aggressive. That might be what Galaxy Racer goes for, but if you go that route with, say, the Diffusal Rush after Bands, it feels like you will miss out on the potency of Battle Fury with Vac Wall, with the Kisses flying through, with a good AoE you have, with a Root follow-up. It's pretty open-ended, and I think that does give more flexibility for Galaxy Racer, but the win condition for Motivate.Trust is a lot clearer. They've got the Storm, they've got the Bristle, they've got the Jug. All of these heroes can carry you through the late game. They've got very nice timings across these cores as well. So I think for Motivate.Trust, as long as they don't get too dragged down in their early to mid game, it should end up fine. And looks like I might have to reconnect real quick here, Mike. I think my camera's busted. Give me a second.
I might have the same issue, John. Not gonna lie, but we'll find out very soon. Actually, I think I know what it might be. There we go. Anyway, moving on. So, what was your answer, John? It was quite a prolonged answer you had there. Did you like GXR or Motivate.Trust better with their draft?
I think it's even. I think when it comes to execution, it's very specific for GXR. They've got to really win the first 20 to 25 minutes, punish the greed of the lineup of Motivate.Trust. If they don't manage to do that, Motivate.Trust has clear win conditions going late. They've got a Jug, they've got a Bristle, and they've got a Storm, and that's a Fearless Storm as well. So win conditions for Motivate.Trust are better, but GXR has a much bigger power spike at that early game. So it's a back and forth one. It's hard to call in the draft alone. If I had to say, if I didn't factor in the players, I would still probably lean towards Motivate.Trust. I think GXR's execution has to be near flawless to really hit those timings they need.
Well, luckily for me, John, I've got Loopet, who don't have to kind of sit in the middle. Never mind that though. Alacrity, he's going to really kind of get to the front, but he does get that bounty. By the way, Motivate are sitting as the massive favorites in the Loopet odds, but we do have a massive disconnection now, so maybe showing the odds was a bit too early there, as Motivate now don't have a team. Just going to kind of wait it out, see if they do reconnect, which I'm sure they will. GXR, obviously no issues for them. But yeah, we did have Motivate sitting as the favorites. I believe it was $1.49 to the $2.50 something of GXR. So about 2-1 here for Motivate.Trust. Looking pretty good in terms of betting odds. And I tend to agree personally, John. I mean, we've seen GXR. They are a very, very good team, but it is hard to go past Motivate.
Definitely. Like, these guys are just probably a Div 1 team that, you know, it should have been Div 1 and they just kind of curb stomped the lower Div.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're just up in form, and there was some doubts when they reunited, right? Like, they got Leonak in, they lost Boombell, but it's been working out really nicely, and we've heard the confidence throughout the season there from Motivate.Trust as to how they're doing. GXR, I mean, they've had some rough spots, but I think when you're a team that constantly forces Motivate.Trust to play these 50 to 60 minute games, I think you've got something going there. And again, with GXR swapping in 2 players here for the Pro Series, Lootbet Pro Series, I think, again, there's a lot that they can still improve on, and it would be great to see that improvement come out here after all these times they faced off against Motivate.Trust. Do you see our lanes break out here, Mike? And you've got Jackie up top on the Jug, joined by Leonak on his Ancient Apparition. They're laning up against Mizu on that Darkseer and Jokam on the Snap. This should be a pretty steady lane. Iron Shell spam's going to be annoying. The only kind of to salvage this for the Jug is that you've got Blade Fury. So if you do see a lot of Iron Shells being popped on, you can just spin away from the damage at the least.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was pretty much the whole reason Jackie went for the Jug in the first place, is he knows Mizu is probably not going to be able to kill him in this lane. And even with the healing ward, just kind of being able to reset is going to be very valuable in this laning stage. Of course, over to the mid lane, you've got Fearless there along with Alacrity. And I thought maybe they would have put In Your Dream in that mid lane to try and really shut down Fearless, but that is not going to be the case. They put Alacrity there instead on the Riki. I believe you personally weren't the biggest fan of this, but it does appear to be working out right now for Alacrity, so we'll see if that can keep up.
Yeah, he's just really be cautious about how far he goes. Look at this. All the damage coming through.
It's a lot of damage. Alacrity going to be a little bit more careful as Fearless. He's going to be out of mana anyway, so he can't really try to chase him down on the Storm. And the last lane, of course, the bot lane, where you'll see Q and Paulison right now kind of just chasing each other. You've got In Your Dream there on the Razor and Masaros on the Bristle. I think it's going to be a very important kind of factor here for Masaros to just be able to kind of pull the creep waves away from the Razor, as obviously Masaros understands he can't really 1v1 In Your Dream in this lane.
No, it's a lot more passive for the Bristleback in that sense, and you can see Masaros reflecting that. He's holding on to his level 2 spell, you know, just in case maybe Paulson oversteps and you can start applying some goo, but he wants to make sure he's got the defensive option for the Bristleback as well. And In Your Dream's not really being bullied out. It's basically free farm for the Razor. Masaros is about a full creep wave behind, so he's going to have to find a way to get some more presence in this lane. We've also got this dual lane of melee heroes, really, and the Earth Spirit can't really relieve this lane all too much, so he's just kind of soaking up EXP. Maybe once he hits level 3, you can see a rotation elsewhere. But for now, Motivate.Trust are going to definitely just be playing a lot more passive, and that's going to benefit GXR in a big way here.
And Masaros, he gets the goo up. Paulson, of course, going to be able to just purge that off, as now In Your Dream does link him up. Plasma Field won't land. Q, a very nice kick away, but he's going to take a lot of damage from In Your Dream. Meanwhile, Masaros, he's still trying to go after Paulson, but that is not going to work out in his favor, as now Fortune's End will follow him down. They have a bit more time for that static link damage, and they'll get the kill. Very nice setup there from In Your Dream and Paulson, and well, for Masaros, definitely a little bit overly confident there. He does get punished for it.
Yeah, you can't really afford to dive the Oracle even at this point. Like, you could maybe stack up some goo charges to start to apply more damage with your cold spray, but the Oracle has a Dispel. The Razor is really quick. He's really tanky as well. He's at that big level spike at level 3. So every single time Masaros comes in to trade, it's not going to end favorably. And I think it's at this point where Q might want to just look for something else to do on the map. He gets a bottle refill for Fearless down mid. And he's going to need to soak elsewhere, I think. Does get good kick away, but Alacrity still tops up the bottle. So mid lane is still holding a bit steady. Fearless is slightly ahead, but not by too much. I don't think you're going to feel too bad about this if you're Alacrity. Side lanes are winning out. Your mid lane is still drawing even despite being a melee hero against a Storm. That's pretty fantastic.
That it is. Bot lane again, Paulson. Be chased down by Masaros for a little bit there, but it looks like Masaros this time not
Alacrity?
willing to overextend, as now mid lane, Alacrity. He's going to be alright. Q doesn't have any spells to throw out. Fearless, he still wants to chase him down with that Vortex. Alacrity is going to get caught out into the Remnant. One more hit may have done it. The roll not going to land either. A nice trick to the trade, and now Q is the one to drop, as Fearless needs to back off ASAP. He just needs to run. Paulson, unable to cancel the TP, will have to let him go. But they do get a kill onto Q. They do also save Alacrity's life on that Ricky. So all is going well for GXR. They currently sit at 2-0. Motivate, unable to find any kills this far. In fact, every death they've had is based on the fact that they've been trying to find kills.
Yeah, I think for Motivate, they've got to take it easy. You see Masaros dropping again to In Your Dream. This is the point where you can't jump the Razor at all. Heck, you might not even want to show up to that lane. Falcon blades up. He's got a lot of mana regen. He's got good damage and durability on the Razor. You need to find another way to sustain this greedy lineup. There's only silver linings up top, but mid again, they keep trying on Alacrity.
They will. They have the silence this time around, but Alacrity again is going to be just fine. Just not much they can do about this Ricky at the moment. He's proving to be a little bit too slippery, it seems. Now Pauluson's going to come over and try to help him secure the power rune, or he does get it as well. The illusion is going to spawn bot.
There is little hope for Radiant's middle tower.
Guess the only saving grace right now for Motivate.Trust is the fact that that top lane is going quite smoothly here for Jackie. No real pressure being applied to the jug. Top of the CS board. One very reliable thing about Motivate is that you can always kind of rely on Jackie to hit creeps very safely. GXR yet to find an answer for him.
I think he's had a free lane, but he's not top in net worth. You're still going to have to protect this Chug really well, and you're sacrificing some really greedy cores to reach that point with your Chug, so you will have to find a way to compensate for these other cores. Jackie is a win condition. I think in this case, you can't fully rely on just the Chug. You need your Storm to give you control. You need your Bristleback to be able to soak that damage through, just because they lack big team fight from a core that doesn't need too much farm. So Jackie's going to need to ride his early set of farm, maybe to make some space for his team afterwards, or at least join in when he has Omni Slash and play from there. He does have his level 6 up, doesn't really see the opportunity, so just sitting back and farming. GXR, for their part, I mean, they're getting really good starts on Alacrity and IYD, but they are hurting on Mizu. It's a bit slower for the Darks here. I think that's one thing they can
Masteros. Yeah, you talk about slow, John. In Your Dreams making it a very slow game for Masteros on this Bristle. He's having an extremely rough time as mid lane now. Leonak also going to be caught out on the AA. The 5th kill of the game for GXR already. And Motivate.Trust, they're yet to get on the board.
Radiant should look to their top tower.
And they're just off to a really tough set of lanes. They're just not able to really leverage these supports. It's a lack of control. It's a lack of early burst because of the heroes, the cores they have on hand. They can't really line themselves up for these kills. They have at least been building up some stacks in the jungle that hasn't quite yet been contested by GXR, but they do have wards. So they're going to have to keep controlling that jungle if they want to get farm. You're reaching that point with Alacrity where he's got the Orb of Corrosion now, and he's going into the power treads. He hits like a truck. You can't underestimate a rookie with just these items, and then a Wraith Band down the line. It gets pretty scary going to that tricky trade.
Oh, Mizu top lane. Fearless going to zip in. They found the Darks here, and this could be the first kill of the game for Motivate, and it is. They get something. Definitely a decent kill there onto the Darks here. However, Masteros is going to die again on the Bristleback. This time Alacrity to take the kill. They are not leaving this Bristle alone. He's had a very tough game, and well, Masteros, he tried to go back into the triangle to farm up those ancients and just the neutrals, but they just follow him up and they punish him straight away.
And this is getting pretty scary with how far behind your Bristle is. That means he's going to soak a lot more farm from the jungle, away from your Storm and Jug. He's not going to be that big powerhouse that just AFKs in the lane, forces a full team rotation, and still lives true. Not that kind of Bristle game here for Master. The least here for Motivate.Trust. They're only about 1k behind, so the lead for GXR, despite being 5 kills up, isn't that big yet. And that's mainly down to the fact that they haven't been as efficient on the map in terms of clearing out creeps just because they've been more active. So they need to start finding some objectives soon. We're at 9.5 minutes in. With a 5-kill lead, I think you'd want to line up, maybe take the top tower, just to make that top jungle a bit more awkward for all of these cores. But for now, they're kind of content with holding the lane steady, and that could hurt them. As long as the lanes are stable, Motivate.Trust will take these sacrifices. They know they've got a slower lineup. They know they've got so much more time to still build up. As long as they hold these towers, their jungle is not going to shrink just yet.
And it certainly is not. Alacrity going to make his way over down to the bot side of the map, so perhaps they're going to try and set up for a kill or even just go after that tower. There's no real heroes to go after apart from Q and Alacrity. He has snuck his way into the tree line. Q's being blocked off. He doesn't realize yet. He'll try to roll, but he is going to get punished for it. Oh, Q, he may have thought it was a bug or something. It really looked like he could not believe his eyes. He gets punished immediately though, Alacrity. And In Your Dreams setting up for the kill, but now Masteros gonna move in, but look at the damage output. Masteros! Oh, he's gone.
No,
oh no, now
Fearless.
Fearless comes in. Oh no, the Kisses gained vision of the tree line. That was a very smart move by Jocam to get the vision of the tree line because he knew Fearless might TP in. And immediately the smoke screen came out from Alacrity.
Yeah, and it's just so tough for the Storm right now. You're not tooled up. You don't have your Orchid up. You need to be very cautious with where you TP in to set up a team. And with that tower taken out, GXR can start looking mid. Once they take that mid out, the triangle, it's going to be very exposed. It's going to be really easy to invade. Ancient stacks, you're stuck at your top jungle. the silver lining for Motivate.Trust is that Jackie's still left alone, but the Jug is still a long way off from being really impactful. So it's at that point where the greed starts to feel like it might be a bit too much for Motivate.Trust. 3k lead for GXR as they just work this map really well. And they're just playing as a team really cleanly. They could start setting eyes for that top tier 1 to free up the top jungle as well. And they've got level 6 up in Paulson, so if someone gets jumped, he can still have the false promise save, unless he gets jumped first.
He does. Roll in. Can they take him down in time, though? Plasma Field is there. He's going to have time to false promise. He'll get it off, and Q will die. To really rub salt in the wound, Paulson, he'll be the one to take the killers now. Mid lane, Massaros. Another kill onto the Bristleback. Alacrity on his 3rd kill of the game already. It's not like he has a Diffusal Blade either, John. He's just going in with the Orb of Corrosion, but it's proving to be enough. And for Massaros, that's his 6th death of the game. He's got no kills, no assists.
Look to their top tower.
It's just such a tough game for Bristle. And you don't have a spot to farm in, you have to throw your body in lane. He only has a Hood of Defiance. In this game, you'd want both that and the Vanguard, and then you're still going to need more. There's just so much damage output from GXR, and they know it. They smoke up, they got the scan off in the top tower, so they know someone's hanging around. Want to find someone bigger, though.
Leonak. Break the smoke there of Paulson, but he won't be spotted out. The mid lane, Massaros is there again. They'll ignore him. I don't think they're really going to have anyone to go for unless they can find Jackie. Of course, finding the Jug would be a very nice kill here for GXR, but now he is going to show himself in the creep wave, but he is a bit too far into that dire end of things to really go for this kill on the Jug. Does have help around as well, just in case.
That's for me.
Like GXR, they probably are not going to be able to find the Jug yet. They'll keep the push going. Just keep the pressure up. You may as well just keep the farm up as well for Alacrity and just try to get that Diffusal Blade ASAP.
He's pretty darn close. I find it interesting that they're committing heavily on the bot tower instead of looking for a mid-tier 1 push, a top tier 1, tier 2 push. They're just focusing on this lane, which makes it a bit awkward to clear out the ancient stacks, although Master still gets that done. I think if you're GXR, like you are ahead right now, but you still need to keep that momentum going. You don't want to take these breeders. There's still a lot of good jungle stacks that we saw Fearless clear out. He's starting to catch up a bit. He's number 3 in that word. So the recovery is slowly building in for Motivate.Trust every single time you take a break here.
Yeah, mid lane, Fortune's End plus the Blink Strike from Alacrity will prove to be enough, and there's your false promise, just to make sure that Alacrity can get out. But Jackie wants to go for the chase, a nice Blink Strike away. Not allow the roll to connect there from Q, and for Motivate.Trust, they are still stuck on 1 kill on their side of things. Their tier 1 top tower is going to start going down. In fact, it is almost down in your dream, really getting to work at that top lane. You're kind of seeing the main issue, I think, with GXR's draft is they don't really have much push going for themselves. So it does take a bit of time. And now mid lane, Motivate, they're going to try and pressure that mid-tier 1 tower. And surprisingly enough, John, they're going to be able to get it for free.
That definitely is a bit of a surprise. They don't commit for the defense, so this opens up some jungle access on the bot jungle side to give some farm out, although Jackie's pretty far out here.
Jackie, Sans, not really going to lock him in, but they got the false promise still. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, a big ice blast out. Paulson and Mizu both going down. Alacrity be chased down, but a nice Blink Strike away still. Massaros giving the vision over. There's your static blink out from In Your Dream, but it's not going to be enough. Massaros, he'll survive as Q rolls back in. They found the Ricky. Alacrity is still going to try and Blink Strike away, but they should have the chase to find the Ricky, or maybe not. Where's the detection? They don't have it right now. Leonak, he's going to drop on the AA, and somehow Alacrity gets himself out of there.
Yeah, just barely. Really good dodges coming through from the Ricky. That's where the lack of control really starts to come into play. And once that Orchid's on cooldown, So your dusts are on cooldown as well, as we saw, I think, double dust flying out. You can't really fully commit, and they do still kind of get a better trade there for Motivate.Trust. They found 2 kills for the price of 1. And with the Orchid up on Fearless, this is the time when they can take more action. So they have to kind of be aggressive to compensate for that slower start now.
Ice Blast was thrown out to just try and scout out, but doesn't really find much. GXR, they're smoked up right behind Mizu at the moment. Mizu is going to go have a look to see if he can find anyone, but he's not going to be able to find anyone quite yet. Said MTG, just going to sit back and keep the farm up. That being said, so will In Your Dream on this Razor. Doing a really nice job of just staying on top of the net worth board. Got to be able to kind of contest Jackie later on in that jug. As you can see, John, they really can't push very fast.
Definitely not. Like, they just can't clear these objectives. That goes for both sides. MTG are smoked up. They're trying to look for something. They don't have the forward vision in top jungle, but Mizu just TP's in here.
Mizu is going to be spotted out now. Smoke knock broken on Fearless, but they know exactly where he's gone. I'll just zip right in with the Orchid out from Fearless. And the Ice Blast is all going to land. That'll mean Mizu just gets bursted down. Very nice little pick up there from Motivate.Trust. And well, for Mizu, obviously just doing his job of keeping the side lanes pushed out. But you know, this time, Motivate, they do punish.
Yeah, pretty good punishment. Going back to your point with IYD being number 1 in that port, I don't know if you really want your Razor to be number 1. I think if you'd have a core that soaks up all this farm, you'd rather have it be Alacrity. And we were talking about his defusal timing. It's actually just flying out now. It's like 6 minutes since we were talking about the item being built up. It's a lot slower than you'd expect for the Ricky. In Your Dream is rushing a Butterfly, so he is going to be really able to sustain through a lot of that physical damage up front. He's going to be able to fight against a Jug very greatly before the MKB flies out. That's going to be another item Jackie has to look for now. But the issue is, when you go with this much farm on a Razor early on, you have to make sure, once these items fly in, you find more on the map. Like, we need to see more objectives go from GXR as we reach the 25 to 30 minute mark here.
Top lane, Ice Blast is going to be there onto Mizu again. They've got the Darkseer for a second time in a row. They should have enough damage, but no, Fearless, he's been caught out. Alacrity does find a great trade. And so we'll end up being, what, 1 for 1, but GXR should be very happy with that, I think. Just being able to catch out that very valuable Storm pick. Meanwhile, Jackie bot lane taking a lot of damage out from In Your Dream. But he is going to be able to spin TP away and be just fine. And in the mid lane, start out, they've caught Masaros. The Bristleback really not that tanky, even at this stage of the game, but he's going to be able to survive through the damage output. GXR still looking to be very aggressive though, hang around in that mid lane. But eventually they will be forced to back off.
You're starting to reach the point where Masaros isn't the hero you can jump anymore, mainly because he has the Vanguard out. So with the Hood of Defiance and the Vanguard, he's just tanky enough to live through that initial burst. Gives enough time for Motivate.Trust to respond a little bit.
Alacrity, yeah, nice cookie set up again. Wall is going to block the way, but it'll just run the other way. A nice vacuum up with the Scatter Blast. Ice Blast is going to fly through, and now the rolling Q. He wants to start a fight with that Magnetize and Ice Blast, but he won't be able to get his Magnetize off. Instead, Alacrity will reinitiate onto the Earth Spirit and does get one, but now the zip in. Fearless off the mark as the Blink Strike was there. A cookie up from Joe Cam is going to mean that Alacrity is going to be alright. GXR, they'll keep trying to push in that mid-tier 1 tower. Fortify's going to be there. Masaros, he's just waiting up the wall, and In Your Dream has a full Butterfly up. It's a very fast Butterfly up from In Your Dream, but now Fearless is going to zip in. Ice Blast is going to be there again. It does land on 3. It could be a great time to fight, and Jackie, he'll go for the Omni right through all 5 of them, but there's no damage output. Now they'll turn around. Jackie needs to run, but Alacrity is there with the Diffusal Blade. The Snap Thigh Kiss with a rollback in from Q. Masaros is dead. Q about to drop. GXR just proving to be way too tanky. And Motivate.Trust, They just need to run.
Yeah, I mean, there's just not enough coming out from Jackie. He's got the Maelstrom, Manta, the early butterflies just mitigating a lot of the slashes that do come through. So in your dream now, he needs to be on point. And he has been standing up front once that item's up. They need to really work the map faster, because when you have a Razor this farmed up, you need to play with that. Once the item responses come out from Motivate.Trust, the Razor does lose impact. So this is the point where you want to eye those tier 2s, think about the Roshan, about the high ground, start working that end game plan here, and Motivate.Trust are smoked up. Looks like they might want to try hunting.
They will zip in. Who have they found? It's going to be the Oracle. A great start if they can kill him off, but it looks like he might. No, Paulison is going to die as Q now. It's going to be chased down. And GXR, they're going to be able to get a 1-for-1. So all things being said, not too bad. It's now Alacrity's having a look around for another. He's not quite going to be able to find anyone. That'll be about it. Just a 1-for-1, but GXR, they're going to hold that net worth lead. And they'll just keep farming up.
Yeah, they're still building up in your dream, saving up for the satanic BKB. I think the BKB is a lot more important here once you have a way of avoiding the silences, avoiding all the control from the Earth Spirit, and pretty much washing off the nasal glue. You're going to be in a really good spot to just take care of literally everyone on the side of Motivate.Trust.
I thought they might have made the jump in on Masteros, but they're going to leave him be. Instead, GXR grouping up as 5, and it looks like we're about to smoke here for GXR. There we have it.
Illusion.
A counter smoke is out from Motivate, though. Who finds who first, I wonder? GXR, oh, they're going to run right into Fearless, but he is going to be alright for now as they static pick up Jackie instead. Jackie going to lose a lot of damage immediately. It's now Q, going to be focused on by Alacrity, but will back off as Masteros now is going to be the focus. They'll chase him down on that bristleback. He is pretty tanky though, and is not quite going to die. Is Jackie now taking a bit of damage from that wall, but he is going to be able to back off. Nobody dying quite yet. Motivate, they'll reset with the healing ward, and GXR, they're going to back off as well.
I don't think you mind too much if you're Motivate. You simply need to just sit back, have faith in your Storm, in your Jug, in your Bristleback. You're about to hit your Ags timing on Masteros, coming out soon, and the BKB is almost done for Fearless. So once those are up, it helps you have a lot more damage output, helps you build up a Warpath on your Bristle, helps Fearless not care about the silences. They need to just be patient for these item spikes before fully committing for even more kills on the map.
You. Not going to be spotted there by Alacrity. In your dream, he's getting quite close now to picking up a full BKB on that Razor. Be quite detrimental here for Motivate once he does have that up. Jackie trying to finish off his own Eye of Skadi on that Jug. In fact, mid lane, Masteros going to be jumping, no Fearless. He does end up finding Alacrity on the Ricky, and they do end up blowing him up. Nice start there for Motivate. Looks like they're going to try and rush for a Roshan.
Yeah, I think without the Ricky, it's a lot harder to get that control, get the damage flying through. You rely a lot on that smoke screen to lock in here to a certain area. And the BKB from Fearless really shows up well, though.
In they go. They're going to try and fight this one out. Onto the high ground they go. In fact, Q just rolling straight forward. In your dream, going to go for the static link out onto Jackie.
Ooh.
Manta is there. Omni committed. It's just not going to be enough, though. Instead, it bounces to Mizu, but Jackie is in big, big troubles. In your dream, he gets to work, and it looks like he has found the Jug. Have they got more? So they are going to spot out Masteros to boot. He'll try for the TP, but the cookie's going to be there from Joe Cam. And the Roshan attempt is just not going to work out in the favor of Motivate.Trust. As now Fearless going to be chased down by Alacrity, but he does manage to zip away in time. Still a bit of an unfortunate set of events here for Motivate, as now GXR they're going to be the ones to go into that Roshan pit. And I don't think Motivate can really fight this one out.
No, I mean, they could maybe try to go for a cheeky zip from Fearless, but he's a bit too far. So it's going to be a nice Aegis pickup for GXR, secures the position of In Your Dream or Alacrity. They do know it's happening, but they just don't have an access point. So they're going to have to sit back, wait for the respawns, try to build up some more farm. They're really keen to jump in without these items up. Like, just wait out the Ags on Masteros, wet out the Scotty on Jackie for more stats. You had the BKB on Fearless, sure, but your other cores just can't stand and fight as well as the Storm is, so there's a bit of a mismatch in terms of what you can do on each and every single hero on Motivate.Trust right now. Whereas for GXR, yeah, it's mainly In Your Dream farmed up, but the Ricky's still doing a lot of work with the Yasha Diffusal. The Ags is up and running on Mizu, so you've got the obnoxious durability coming through with the Ion Shell. Combine that with the fact that you've got an Oracle, bursting down any of these heroes is just super tough. You have to prioritize the Oracle or the Darkseer just to ensure that you don't have to deal with all these burst bit of HP just getting injected into the core you're trying to burst down here.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Bit of a group up at the top lane now for GXR. They'll get started on that tier 2 tower. It's going to be no real problem as In Your Dream now does have quite a bit of damage here on this Razor. Motivate, there's not much they can do to stop this.
Top tower has fallen.
Axe now up on Masteros. So you've got that crazy AoE goo flying around now from our Bristle, and that could be quite detrimental here for GXR. Generally speaking, the longer these team fights go on, the stronger Masteros gets. That being said though, GXR could say the exact same thing with their Razor. In fact, they're going to move up to the high ground. They're feeling confident. I can't quite blame them either, John. I mean, In Your Dream, he's a tanky boy with that Satanic Butterfly up. And the Aegis, for that matter, is Masteros. He's going to come into front line. I'm going to back off for now, it looks like. GXR not going to try and overextend. Even with that Aegis up.
Middle tower is under attack.
They'll play it carefully and go into that mid-tier 2 tower instead.
I think going for the smart place a lot better. Don't really need to force a high ground issue, they just need to starve out Motivate.Trust. So, still in their big power spike, they're still able to take these objectives. MPG are just not really keen to step outside of high ground. They do have the BKB up and running on Q, so it's easier for your Earth Spirit to roll in and get the magnetized combos off. Maybe try to be disruptive in the backline, get a couple of key silences off as well. If you can prevent the Oracle or the Darkseer from getting any of your saving spells out, I think you can line up
Top
with Fearless.
lane, Fearless, he can't afford to die like this. He's going to BKB TP. He's going to be alright. You just see how hard it is for Motivate to even just split push out the lanes right now, as Alacrity's just going to chase them down every chance he can get. And to make matters worse, Alacrity's going to have that sleeping dart suit, it looks like, with the Aghanim Shard upgrade, and that's going to make it a lot harder to really do anything on the map, as if you do get put to sleep, it's going to give enough time for GXR to kind of close the gap and ensure they can get the kill. And now they've got an Arcane Rune up on Alacrity. They smoke up. Jackie just picks up the Eye of Skadi now. I just don't know if it's going to make all the difference. It just feels like they're lacking so much damage. And In Your Dream's going to run right into him. Jackie going to spin TP away immediately. That's quick reactions here from our John.
Not the target you want to go for. With a lack of instantaneous stun, unless you get the smoke screen off, you're not going to find the chug. Motivate.Trust are using this space alright. They're kind of shoving in the bot lane, but they will be forced to come back now.
They will. In Your Dream going to be targeted for a second, but Jackie again realizing he can't really fight him. GXR, I mean, as long as they're controlling the map, you already know they're going to be pretty happy. Just kind of go back and keep the farm up. There's no real rush for them. for Motivate, they've got to find a way to get some gold influx on their side of things. Right now, still 8k behind. On the brighter side, you do have Fearless now, who does have an Aghanim Scepter up. But that's about all that's going for them at the moment.
I'd say the Ags is pretty darn big for Fearless. Just combines really well with what you can do with your Ice Blast, with your Bristleback just throwing goose off. There's no defensive items on GXR, so they're fully reliant on Paulson to be in a good spot to get that False Promise, to get the Fortunes and off. Well, if they manage to somehow isolate these cores away from the Oracle or take the Oracle out first, once they apply that AoE control that the Vortex will give them, that gives Motivate.Trust a lot of new angles to take these fights out. So we'll see if they can leverage it in a big way. They do smoke up. They want to use it in a big way already. And GXR kind of clumped up in their jungle, but they don't really have forward vision. So it's a bit of a blind smoke around here for MTG.
Certainly is, John. Motivate definitely not going to be able to find anything. Except some farm, maybe, which is probably what they need the most. While Motivate, and they'll take the farm that they can get. I'm surprised GXR is not actually just kind of up in front, making sure they can't do this. And GXR has backed off for a bit, so they can just kind of farm the bottom side of the map themselves. Again, I don't think you really want to give Motivate a way back into this game. Eventually, Jackie, as much as it doesn't look like it, he will become a problem. With enough items, he is going to be able to outscale this Razor. You've still got the Storm to worry about. And speaking of, they do make the zip in onto the Snapfire. And that should be Joe Cam going down with the Ice Blast. It will be enough to set up, but now Fearless going to be in danger. He'll BKB and just walk his way out. So will Q with the TP. BKB is going to be able to just remove himself from this scenario. And the rest of GXR, they're just... They're going to have to back off. They'll smoke up eventually. Again, I don't think you want to give Motivate the space. I think you've got to keep the pressure up if you're GXR.
Sure. They know the BKBs are down. This could be a really good time to sneak in. And they've got the BKB up on IYD.
No, they're going to the backside instead. They found Q on the Earth Spirit and they'll burst them down. In fact, Leonak now has been spotted. He'll get the Ice Blast in time, but it won't make a difference as now the vacuum from Mizu going to catch Masaros with the Sleeping Dart out. They have stunned him up, and In Your Dream going to get some work, but here comes Fearless with the AoE Vortex and the buybacks. They've got Polison on the Oracle. Mizu about to drop himself, but he will barely survive. It's Masaros. He doesn't seem to be done yet. But the Sleeping Dart will make it so he can't chase any further. And that'll be it. So buybacks committed from Motivate. It doesn't amount to much. They get one Oracle kill. Again, I think they'll just have to take the time they have and keep farming up.
Yep, they're hitting some big spikes soon. MKB, the Demon Edge is done, so the most expensive part is almost done. You just gotta wait for about 1.7k till the next few parts fly in, and then the Razor doesn't feel as scary. They're also gonna start camping around for the Roche. 8 seconds away. It's a bit quick here. Do dip out at the wrong time, at least with the Vortex down, to be able to maybe spot it out earlier. And it's important for Motivate.Trust more than GXR. GXR could probably do without the Aegis, but you want that security on high ground. For Motivate, if they find us, free Ag Shard, Aegis Cheese, much more ways to keep Masaros and Fearless alive. And that gives them a lot of ways of just throwing bodies out to force GXR in that position.
Oh, Sleeping Dart. They've caught the Bristleback, and that'll be In Your Dream now. Coming in with the static link. Jackie with the healing ward is going to try and help out. In fact, Masaros is healing up. Is it going to be enough, though? Mizu and Alacrity, they've been blown up by Jackie. He still has the Omni Slash up. They'll go on to the Oracle now. Polison's gone. In Your Dream, getting the Omni, but he is a tanky boy. He'll pop the Satanic and trying to fight back now. Up against Jackie, and it looks like he might have the damage as Jackie. He's going to try and spin away. He might just make it out. And he will. That's one way to do it.
You're seeing the issue with a farm distribution there, though, Mike. Like, you see how far ahead In Your Dream is? Mizu and Alacrity have been completely scuffed. They haven't been allowed to farm. Fearless has overtaken them, and Fearless was at the bottom, barely above Alacrity early on. You're starting to hit that point where the net worth lead of GXR, it's starting to only pile onto the Razor, where, you know, I've been saying you need to distribute that to the Riki. You need some of that on Riki because he scales pretty darn well late, but he hasn't progressed past the Manta style. And now they're pretty much ready to go. They don't have the Bristle up, but they've got their mana top back up, and they're going to force this Roshan out.
Absolutely. Onto the Roshan they go. It'll be a nice quick Roshan as well as GXR. They're not going to be there to try and stop this from happening. Definitely some very bad news now for GXR as they've given a huge lead away, and in your dream, if he dies right now, could be even worse than the Vortex, the Ice Blast, everything lands perfectly from Motivate.Trust as they zip right through. Paulison and Jokam already dead. In your dream needs to get out of there. The Ice Blast not allowing him to heal up as Jackie keeps going after Mizu. They found the Darkseer. They will kill off the Darkseer, and now in your dream,
God.
he has also been caught out. He will go down a full team wipe. Fearless and Leonak
boy.
setting up for a perfect team fight for Motivate.Trust. And that really was perfect, John. It really was.
You know, I'm getting some flashbacks here, Mike, from the few GXR Motivate.Trust games we've seen. I've watched a couple of them as well. I think I saw the ones in the group stage. This happens every time. GXR has an amazing early game. Motivate.Trust goes with a really greedy tricore. I mean, Bristleback, Storm, Jug. They had such a bad time in laning and towards the first 25 minutes. Then GXR just doesn't push. Get all this farm in your dream, and they don't do anything with the farm. Now that Butterfly is counteracted with the MKB on Jackie. He's overtaken the farm for Razor. Fearless is nipping at the heels of In Your Dream, and so is Masaros has had an amazing recovery from bottom core to now above Mizu and Alacrity. Like, the recovery has happened for Motivate.Trust, and it's because GXR did not push. Left this tier 1, the tier 2 tower down bot. They did not go for the high ground. They don't have a lane shoving in from super creeps, and now they might just see some of these tier 2 melts themselves.
You know, Motivate, John, they don't tend to wait around. When they know they've got the advantage, they'll start moving up to the high ground, and that's exactly what Jackie's doing now. Just starts going up, all by himself, mind you. But he will need to back off and maybe reset himself, though he is pretty healthy. Rest of MTG, they'll wait for the right moment.
Over here now.
GXR, though, they've smoked up as 4. If they lose this team fight, it's going to be an absolute disaster for them because there's no buybacks either. Masaros is not quite the target you should start on. In fact, Masaros, he's going to run in. He gets the Nasal Gun, and everyone, Ice Blast going to fly out. Sleeping Dark going to help a little bit, but Alacrity, he cops the Ice Blast. Instead, they'll go after Jokam. They'll get the one they can see. Jackie will just slowly but surely chase him down. They have found him. He's trying to juke them out the best he can, but there is no way out. And that's a Snapfire without buyback for 50 seconds. So they can go high ground.
They've got numbers advantage. They do not have to worry about the kisses flying through in the back. GXR need to find a way to pull off this team fight without the kisses. That means Mizu has to land a big back wall here to hold off this push.
They do. Mizu trying to defend with the back wall. In Your Dream going to show up now with the static link, but he's not going to pop it. He'll wait it out for the right moment. With these sleeping darts, you can still defend quite nicely. Your Dream again, going to keep trying. They will be able to successfully defend this high ground as the respawn is going to be there. MTG, though, they still have the Aegis up, so they haven't completely backed off yet. Another minute for that Aegis to expire. Jokam, forced off the way. Masaros, he'll move in. The Ice Blast, the Vortex. It lands on everyone again. They found all of them. Paulison trying to back off. He is going to make it. Well, never mind, he will not. The zip is going to be enough. The buybacks are flying out this time around, though. They can't keep the team fight up. MTG, they will back off, but they get 2 buybacks for their trouble. And it's the Vortex Ice Blast that keeps screwing over the side of GXR. They've got to be so careful not to group up like that. Fearless, he's going in every time he sees it.
Yeah, it's just way too potent. It's just too darn strong. The AoE control of Motivate.Trust is a lot easier to pull off compared to GXR. GXR, it's vac wall, it's kisses, it's the silence coming through, which is now countered by the BKBs. And I think ideally now, you want the vac wall with a Fortune's End on top. You need a root follow-up, you need to hold him down for a long time. But they don't have enough damage flying through in the AoE. Even if they get that teamfight control from GXR's end, they're still completely relying on Mortimer's kisses because they don't really have damage on Alacrity. Like, he's not using a Battle Fury, the Tricks of the Trade isn't cleaving damage. So their main damage output's on single target. And how do you burst down a Storm at 42 minutes in, who's got the Bloodstone up, who's got the BKB, who's got 2.8k HP, a decent amount of armor? You definitely can't touch Masaros anymore. And even Jackie's got 3.7k HP just casually sitting around with all the stats he has, and even has this Swift Blink up now. He's got a lot more right click when he does want to jump in, maybe get the Omni Slash off. Heroes will melt. So GXR have a big issue with these bigger team fights, and this is, again, going back to the point, Alacrity, you'd want to see the Ricky take over farm. You'd want him to see the priority in terms of itemization. A Ricky without Battle Fury at 43 minutes in, it's harder for him to clear out these waves fast. It's hard for him to find a camp to just jump around and clear out. And MTG, knowing that they've got this lead, you mentioned it before, but they just look to apply that lead over. They're just smoked up and looking for something to happen.
Yep. The smoke is not going to amount to much because GXR, they are not leaving the base at the moment. They're just going to sit around and try to bide their time as Fearless going to go for a very big zip up right onto the head of Joe Cam. Honey, I'm home, he says. Fearless will be able to pick up the kill. Leonak, the one to take it. It looks like they're going to set up for another Roshan, perhaps. Though it is going to be a bit of time till we do see it up. But they aren't really in a rush to go to the high ground, it seems. Motivate.Trust, they have been taking their time. But never mind, because now Q has made his way over, just rolling forward, getting the vision for his team, but his team was not close by. They are unable to help out. Then again, MTG is going to back off.
And they can just farm up, shove in the waves. There's no spot for GXR to actually play in. Masaros, when he shows his front, well, he shows his back, they sleep him up, but you can't really do anything about it. Like, he's to level 25, he is way too tanky, and it's just fully recovered on that Bristle.
You got to side the Vice up on Mizu, though. That may be able to help in this coming team fight. Again, I still think you have to be very worried about that Vortex Ice Blast, and GXR just going to be careful not to group up, because if they Swift Blink and Omni Slash in, it is going to be a lot of heroes being deleted. Jackie's going to frontline and try to force them to move forward. And all they can do is really just slow this down with the Sleeping Dart. GXR, they're trying their best to slow it down, but it's not going to be enough. They'll lose 1 Rax. Just nothing they could really do about it. This Roshan, it's going to be up in 5 seconds. And Fearless, he might run in at the perfect moment to see it. In fact, they have the Vortex up to spot it out. And there you go, John. A nice early Roshan for Motivate. GXR luckily have smoked up, but they need to make their way over ASAP.
This is a bit scary. If this Roche goes away, that's a free axe for Jack. They need to jump in now.
Oh, Q has been caught out, but he'll BKB up. Now the Vortex out onto In Your Dream with the Ice Blast to make sure he cannot heal up. They have not really found the initiation they want yet. Masaros, he'll move up himself. As Jackie's still just trying to finish the Roshan off. Masaros will just kind of distract. In Your Dream now, Static Link is out. Only for a little bit as Masteros, he is not done yet. With that Aghanim Scepter, he'll keep going, and there's your Roshan being completed. As now Paulison, getting way too low for comfort, is probably going to die here. Alacrity's trying to help him out, and the False Promise does come in time. In fact, the back wall is out on 3, so instead they'll roll down towards the south. Back on a Mizu. There goes Q. He does end up dropping with Jackie now. He gets to work on the Joe Cam, and he'll find the Snapfire as Mizu is still being chased down. Leonak will die on the AA. Mizu still juking around on the Darkseer. Masteros eventually will be able to spot him out, and Mizu should die. And looks like Fearless does get the Vortex off. Omni's still up, in fact, never mind. He does commit it out to In Your Dream. Satanic gonna protect for a little bit, but there's a swift slash out as well, just for good measure. In Your Dream does not look very safe at the moment, as Fearless does everything to the back lines. They will be able to find the Razor. They found Alacrity on the Ricky. This could be it. Masteros, he'll keep going for more. Jackie's onto the T4 towers. They're gonna buy it back on In Your Dream, and Alacrity as Masteros now is way too far into the base of the Radiant, and looks like he is set to fall and does. Motivate. They got a little bit too excited, but they do force the buybacks.
Yeah, and then they widen that lead to 25k. They drop the Aegis, they drop the Cheese, so they don't have those second chances anymore on their toolkit, but they've got so much gold to play with. They've got a lot of items they could look to buy out. It's a bit of a long respawn for Masteros and for Q, but they can't really push out fast enough to kind of counteract that, so I don't think Motivate.Trust minds too much. Jackie looks like he's finishing up the Mjolnir, gonna have more damage on hand. A DD for Fearless. This is very ill-timed of a pause, but In Your Dream has no way of stunning Fearless, so it should be fine for him.
That it should. See if they can kind of punish Fearless here. I highly doubt it, though. Nobody's really around to stun him up. You do get the go-ahead.
Double damage.
Oh, In Your Dream, he's queued up a Divine Rapier now.
Oh yeah. I think it's the only way you can go. Razor he is not a great late game hero. He does have some scaling now because of his talents. It's either the Divine or maybe the Ags, but ideally you only get that Ags if you plan to go into the high ground. They just can't go through the wall that is Motivate.Trust. So just fix your damage issue by going Divine. This is the all-in play if they do manage to finish it up. And I think it's that point, though. You just can't get farm and Alacrity. Look at his net worth, man. It's still stuck at 17k. He has not progressed at all. He is still on Basher, Manta-style Diffusal. It's just not progressed. The Ricky is what you want to kind of pivot towards, but you have no choice in this case but to give it to In Your Dream, and this is the only way to go for the Razor. So we'll see if he does manage to even hit that farming time. Motivate.Trust might just look to forcing out the issue. Keep shoving these lanes in, look back at the high ground, look at another set of racks, take out that top tier 2 that's still somehow standing from GXR. And they've got a lot of room to grow. Like, I'm looking at Fearless. He actually did go for the refresh, so he's going for the refresh Vortex.
Oh, my
just
goodness.
like 2 mini black holes. It's going to be painful if GXR clumps up again. They have to watch their spacing here. If they don't respect that Vortex, man, they just can't fight into it.
It's that's going to be a lot of control out from Fearless. That's a total of 6 seconds worth of Vortex duration. So longer than a black hole with the double, with the refresh. It is going to hurt. It only takes 1 Ice Blast as well to really set up. Now GXR in their triangle, going to try and rotate around through the backside. They found Jackie. Gonna run into them. They'll try to get the damage up, and now the Vortex is there again into the Ice Blast. They want to blow them up. They might just get their wish as well as the Omni Slash will go right through Paulison. They found the Oracle. He's not dead yet. He'll get the False Promise off, but what does it matter? He's a sitting duck. Joe Camp's not too healthy either. They will burst both of them down, and there are no buybacks left. They will call it GG, well played. Oh boy, GXR, they were so close, John. That first 30 minutes of the game was all them. And just afterwards,
That
one
was-
bad team fight.
Yeah, I'd say the first 25 minutes. I think it was up about until 25. They were still clearing objectives. They were still clearing out the map, preventing farm from coming true. But around 25, that's when we saw one big item come true. That's when we saw Asura's first pick up the Vanguard on top of his HOD. And that's the point where he wasn't dying to their initial burst. And they still kept committing on to Bristle. And then they kind of took their time there, GXR. They went back to farming, but they were farming in your dream and not Alacrity. So your Razor was building up, your Ricky was lagging behind. Your Razor just does not scale in the same way, and they allowed Fearless to just free farm the jungle, work the Ags, work the Bloodstone on top, and the BKB on top. They just couldn't have a way to counteract it, and it's so strange to see because this has happened to GXR across pretty much every single game they've played against Motivate.Trust. They win out the early game. Their draft is super good early, but Motivate's, every single time against GXR, they always go for late game drafts. They hold out, and GXR just have not found a way to crack the nut of the defense of Motivate.Trust. So they've got to find an answer in game 2 if they want to force another chance to stay in the upper bracket. Motivate.Trust, a rocky start, but this kind of playstyle, right, where you're losing at 25 and still hold on, it's not just superior playstyle. Arguably, it's not even about playstyle. It's more about mental state. And you can see in MTG, they've got that mental fortitude to hold on despite having 6 deaths on a Bristle at 10, 15 minutes in. They still had faith. They held on. It's very hard to crack a team like that. But GXR, it just feels like they're right on the cusp to finding an answer.
Absolutely. With that, John, we're going to head off to a short break. And right after that break, we'll be back with our second game between GXR and Motivate.Trust Gaming. We'll see you then.